Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction, the Armor Wizard. Zap, and we have a body armor demo today. Possibly one of the best deals late 2024. These are from Chase Tactical, or they are a private label Highcom 4S AS4. I actually picked these up from Tactical Shit, if I'm allowed to say shit on the internet, but they had a deal going for these for $99 a plate, so one of my followers was kind enough to donate some funds, so we picked up a pair of them to test. Let's take a closer look at these and see what we're going to do today. Now, in full transparency, if you decide to purchase some of these, I do have an affiliate set up with Tactical Shit, and that earns me a sales commission off of those sales. And what I do with that is I put it right back in the channel by either buying more body armor or buying some of the specialty ammunition to test against these plates. Now, these Highcom 4S AS4s are NIJ certified under the old 04 and 05 standard, which is currently inactive. So if anyone is claiming that these are NIJ certified currently, they are not. These shooter cut multi-curve plates are listed as a 10 by 12 size, but they are actually 9.5 by 11.5 by the time you measure them with my tape measure. We'll have to start doing that on a lot of our plates so that when manufacturers list them as 10 by 12, we can actually confirm that is their current size. This plate weighs 7.305 pounds or 3.13 kilograms. They are only 0.775 inches thick or 19.68 millimeters. They are multi-curved, like I mentioned. You can see all those nice sexy curves. We've got one right there and one right there. Now here comes the long-winded speech. Over here on my channel, we do all of our body armor demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube. We're after worst case scenario. Generally speaking, on level 4 armor, you won't see me shoot 22 long rifle at this. We're gonna go right to the M2 armor piercing specification at close to that 2880 feet per second so that we, again, have worst case scenario, so that if you do pick these up and you need to deploy with them or your use case calls for that threat scenario, you'll have confidence knowing that these plates will stop it. We're after worst case scenario. Generally speaking, on level 4 armor, you won't see me shoot 22 long rifle at this. We're gonna go right to the M2 armor piercing specification at close to that 2880 feet per second so that we, again, have worst case scenario, so that if you do pick these up and you need to deploy with them or your use case calls for that threat scenario, you'll have confidence knowing that these plates will stop it. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees. Again, that represents worst case scenario. Any oblique angles only adds the amount of material that bullet has to penetrate. Since this employs a ceramic strike face per the NIJ, we've gone ahead and dropped each plate on its face 2 times as a preconditioning test. After we've done that, we mark a DT on the plate indicating that we've done the drop test. And if we do it more than 2 times, we mark how many we've done. So this particular plate on the left, we've done 4 times. We also do a torque test. That's where we apply torque to the opposing edges to listen for any cracking. If we don't hear any, we mark that with a TQ. Now, since this is an NIJ 04 or 05 plate, this doesn't necessarily have to have that drop face foam protectant on it at the time. From what we can tell, this Highcom 4S AS4 plate employs a complete edge-to-edge ceramic strike face, meaning for the 10 by 12 measurement, the strike face is going to come almost all the way out to the edge, if not to the bleeding edge of there. Some other companies will sell you lighter plates by having a foam ring on the inside here that reduces the amount of ceramic that's on the plate, and the NIJ actually doesn't shoot any closer than 2 to 3 inches on some of our threat standards, depending on the shot pattern and the standard they're shooting at. So that is something good to look out for. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Romoplastilina, #1 clay from Chavant. That acts as our compressible media to put the body armor up against, and it's the same clay that the NIJ uses. The only difference is that they heat that up to 100 degrees and they drop this giant, like 2.5-inch ball on it to certify those dimples. Because we're out here in my woods, I can't do that, but I have been heating the clay, so we're looking at a general representation of what back face could be. If I stop M2 armor piercing this plate and the back face in my clay is like 60 millimeters, in the NIJ's eyes, that probably would be failing. We also use a chronograph whenever possible, a Pro Chronopal Digital DLX, as well as a Garmin 0C1. That's a little Doppler radar chronograph. We got that from Cabela's/Bass Pro Shops. A big thank you for them to send that out. And we need to know the velocities of some of these rounds, again, because the M2 armor piercing spec is 2880 feet per second plus or minus 30, and you typically will not see that out of any of your surplus M1 Garand ammo. And the same goes for whenever I say I'm using M193, that is a very widely used term, and there's not a lot of ammunition that actually meets that specification, which is 3167 feet per second from a 20-inch barrel. So I use those chronographs to verify what I'm saying is true. And finally, we put a spreadsheet here at the beginning and the end. We kind of foreshadow all the threats that we're going to shoot at it. In the end, we mark our velocities and our penetrations, and we do a tear down so we can look at the guts of this plate. Since this was an 04 plate, I'm very interested in see what the construction of it is like compared to some of our newer NIJ 06 and 07 plates. I also want to remind everyone that I am not an NIJ lab, so if you see any threats stopped or penetrate over here, you should always defer to the manufacturer to produce accredited and recent lab results showing those stoppages. And on the flip side, if you're the manufacturer and you see me stop some kind of insane threat like our M80A1 going 3,500 feet per second, you should send that off to a lab and have that added as a special rifle threat to your panel. Plate number 1 is strapped in and ready to go, and we're going to take our first shots with our M2 armor piercing. This is a 165 grain full metal jacket with a hardened tool steel penetrator. This is the NIJ spec, 2880 feet per second plus or minus 30. Now again, because I'm outdoors and the loads are very temperamental, it's very hard for me at times to keep that spec. A lot of times I am over that specification. Now, if anything, I've shown over the channel over the last few years that ceramic armor, even the older stuff, is fully capable of taking more than one shot. Level 4 only has to stop one shot. The new NIJ 07 standard, I do believe, allows for up to 6 shots. 4 of those are at 0 degrees, and then 2 of them are at 30 degrees. This is our BC8 from Bear Creek Arsenal. Got a Yankee Hill Phantom M2 up front, so we'll take the 3 shots on this, check out the back face, and then see what else we can do against it. 2911, well, we're in specification. 2879, so that was right on there, folks. 2877, right on, folks, right on. Good job, guys. All right, easy enough. Shots number 1, 2, and 3. I probably wanted that one up here a little more, and that one's kind of getting close to the edge there. But like I said, this has an edge strike face. Place those bets in the comments below. Oh, R.A.N.G.E. It kind of looks like we have penetration on all 3 of those hits. Now that's not good, folks. That is not good at all. I mean, those were within specification. Now we did drop test this plate, and they probably didn't do that on this particular standard, but that's not good. Well, that may shorten this test up a little bit based on what we're going to shoot at it now. Let's see how this plate can handle 5.56. Hopefully. I've got 3 flavors here. Our M855 SS109, that's our 62 grain lead core with that conical steel penetrator, known for popping polyethylene plates. We've got our M193, that's our 55 grain full metal jacket, known for popping steel plates. Then we've got our M855A1 EPR, that is the U.S. Army's current issue ball round in 5.56. That is known for popping steel, polyethylene, and even ceramic armor. It is a very, very nasty round. I have a full review on that if you guys want to check that out. We've got a 22-inch TC compass, so maximum real-world velocity. 3368 off the Garmin here. 3351. Now our M855. That one might have been too close to the edge. Now our M855A1, if anyone's looking at picking up some of this, War Pig Armory has quite the collection, and I do have a discount code from them. 3141. Our M193 shots number 1, 2, and then 3. Our M855 shots number 1, 2, that was the edge shot, and number 3. Our M855A1 number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Place those bets in the comments below. Oh, R.A.N.G.E. We actually stopped that edge shot of M855, but shots number 1, 3, and 4 of our A1 penetrated, as well as an M855 and an M193. So it would appear that this particular design The ceramic strike face is probably more than robust. It's likely this fiberglass style backing material that is not doing it any favors. This is going to very much change what we're going to shoot at plate number 2. Now, as far as back face performance goes, like, there is not even a dimple in the areas that it did stop. So this is that type of material that's good at controlling back face, but any type of construction that remains after that ceramic strike face didn't degrade it, this particular material can't stop it and catch it like a little baseball glove, so it just goes right through. I have a few more threats that I think should be valid for this plate, seeing how they were a Ukrainian contract plate. We're gonna step our 30 caliber threats down back to 308. I have some M2 armor piercing that I have loaded in 308, so we should be under spec with this 22-inch barrel. I have M80A1, that is the U.S. Army's ball round in 7.62 NATO. It's just like M855A1 copper core with a hardened penetrating tip. Now, there is a variance that allows that tip to be anywhere from like 49 RHC up to 60 RHC, and usually with the M80A1, it's on the softer side. Then I have some P80 black tip. This is FN Israeli surplus. It's got a 152 grain full metal jacket with an armor piercing core, kind of like M2 AP, but not as long and big. 2747, so that is 130 feet per second under spec. 2926. 2799. Easy enough. M2 armor piercing, M80A1, P80 black tip. Helper hand. Place those bets in the comments below. Oh, R.A.N.G.E. Both our M80A1 and our P80 black tip penetrated, but our M2 AP below the spec stopped. And as I mentioned, with this particular material, there's like no back face at all on that. But this is kind of concerning for a level 4. You're pretty much going to have to bank on that range to reduce velocity of some of these rounds. Now on to our 5.45 by 39 millimeters. This is our SSG 82, has a 24-inch barrel. Very, very interesting bolt action gun, East Germany's early 80s. We have two variants here. We have our 7N6, that is a 52 grain full metal jacket with a mild steel core. Then we have 7N6M for modernized. Typically you only find this, at least from what I've been able to buy, in Bulgarian ammo 1992 or newer. This has the same core, but it is hardened to right around 5960 on our C-scale Rockwell. 2990. 3026. That one was a little high. 3125. 7N6 shot number 1 was right there. Now that is 2 inches from the M80A1, but I'm going to guess that is probably compromised. Shot number 2 right there. And then our 7N6M shot number 1. And then shot number 2, that is definitely not a fair hit. And then so we took a third shot over here, helper hand. Oh, R.A.N.G.E. We have a penetration only from the non-fair hit and that 7N6 up there. So this plate, while being fairly robust with our alumina strike face, is not handling our multi-hit scenarios too well. I have 2 more rounds we're going to shoot at it, and I think we're going to call it on this particular design. Our final 2 shots on this plate, I'm not sure what it's going to do, but say hello to my little friend. This is our SIG MCX Spear in the U.S. Army's new cartridge, 6.8 by 51 millimeters or 277 Fury. This is the hybrid case that pumps out a lot of pressure. This is the 113 grain copper solid reduced range ammunition, or RRA. Per SIG, this is moving at above 75,000 PSI, but slightly below that 80,000 PSI without giving it away. This is the 16-inch barrel variant. We have chronographed some of this before today at around 3,200 feet per second. So it's going to be interesting to see what this copper solid will do to this plate. 3224. 3222. Our final 2 shots of our 6.8, one right there and the other one right there, those would be considered fair hits. Helper hand, place those bets below.
R.A.N.G.E.
we have penetrations from those as well. Well guys, in all honesty, these are probably 1 to 2 hit wonders, maybe 3 if you're lucky, with much shorter barrel length. So if you're, you know, at more of an engagement distance of like, you know, 25, 50 yards with 16-inch or shorter barrel lengths, our common 5.56 threats will be fine. But when we get into our advanced AP threats and even some of our newer tech, this particular backing material on this guy falls just completely on its face. Now for a fan favorite, paging Dr. Matt to surgery, paging Dr. Matt to surgery, the teardown. Let's see what these plates look like on the inside. Now, I thought this had our honeycomb protectant on it. It does not on the strike face, but it has a laminating layer, 35 thousandths thick. It's made out of the same material as our backer, so it's like that fiberglass E-mat or something, and it's got like a glue on it. I will say that the adhesion seems to be pretty darn good for the pieces of ceramic that did not fly away. They're kind of hard to separate from here. We're using alumina, very, very thick at 404 thousandths, so that can degrade quite a bit of our armor-piercing projectiles. But I think the downside, again, is our backing material. I only measured that at 279 thousandths thick, and this particular material is not good at catching remnants. You can see that it literally just kind of breaks away. There is nothing on the back other than more material and more adhesive. We didn't notice any other penetrations that we already denoted earlier on in the testing. Very, very interesting. So like that one was stopped. It got a little bit of ways in that material, but it was able to contain it. And then here's just more of our strike face that's all in a bunch. When you get into these thicker strike faces and you don't laminate them, that's what they tend to do. And then plate number 1 over here, didn't notice any other penetrations that we already didn't announce earlier on. There's the 3 hits of the M855, or sorry, the 3 hits of M855A1 that penetrated. That M855 edge shot was stopped. And that's about all she wrote, folks. Nothing else special inside of these. We were able to stop M2 armor piercing, but only that single hit that was 130 feet per second below our specification. Any of our other 30 caliber threats, our M80A1 and our P80 black tip, were able to squeak through this. Our 5.56 threats, I would comfortably say M193 and M855 are covered, but not in a close proximity hit pattern like we saw when we shot that M2 AP here, then M193 was there. This particular backing material is not good at catching any type of bullet construction that makes it past our ceramic strike face. As I mentioned, these Chase Tactical 4SA S4 plates are Highcom private label rebands. Highcom has been around a long time and is known for producing quality products, although I think in our current 2024 technology bullet-wise, these are lagging behind and may not be a good buy, relatively speaking, to compare to, say, our Highcom 4S17Ms or even our RMA 1155 or the 1165. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number 1 is my family. They came out here to help me do some shooting today. Deacon loves partaking in shooting and also eating snacks in the background, so you get that lovely background noise. Number 2 are my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and YouTube channel members. I have a campsite in the description below. It's a landing page, and there's different affiliate discount codes and things in there that if you're looking to make any purchases and say thank you for the information that I presented to you, those are down there in the description. Number 3 is the fine gentleman, again in full transparency, donated the funds so that we could pick up 2 of these, so we had some hard data on it. And of course, number 4 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.